Hello and welcome to this instructional video on operational definitions. I'm Amy Feinberg, your teacher for today. So our first task here is to define the definition of what it means to be an operational definition. So our goals are to describe a behavior or mental process in a measurable way that's understood by many people. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be reliably measurable. Each time you measure the concept, it has to be measured in the same way so that you can be sure you're getting consistent results. So to kind of illustrate to you the types of concepts we're talking about in psychology, let me just throw out some concepts to you, and I want you to think about how you would define them if you were going to study these things. So what does it mean to be smart or beautiful, perhaps popular or happy or maybe even sad? What do those things mean to you? How would you describe them? How would you measure them? Or perhaps maybe you want to take a little different approach. How do you know that someone is smiling or perhaps focused, bored, upset, or even interested in what you're saying, or even interested in you? Well, everybody kind of has their own internal definitions of these different concepts. But that doesn't really help us when we're trying to do a research study. We want to make sure that everybody's on the same page when they're measuring these things in a research study. So we need to create an operational definition. So I'm going to guide you through the creation of one particular definition and kind of talk about the ways in which they work and the ways they don't. So what does it mean to be smart? Well, there's a lot of ways to measure smart. You could look at grades. Perhaps people who make straight A's are considered smart. Or maybe you're going to look at test scores. Do they have a high IQ? Do they make over a 30 on the ACT or a 2400 on the SAT? Those people might be considered smart. Maybe you would follow the people around and measure how many multisyllabic words they use correctly on a day-to-day basis. Maybe those people are smart. Or maybe those people who are voted most intelligent by their peers are the only ones you would consider to be smart. Perhaps those admitted to selective colleges are smart, or even those who are members of high IQ societies like Mensa would be considered smart. Any or all of these definitions would make for a good operational definition. These are all measurable. These are pretty concrete. More than one person could use these definitions and reliably measure what it means to be smart in your study. So any of these could work. So ultimately, why do we need operational definitions? Because they help people know what we're looking for in our study. And they can decide whether or not they agree with our definition. You may have seen that list and thought, yeah, I would define that as smart. Other people may look at that and disagree. Maybe you know people who have really good grades, but they aren't very smart. Or maybe the opposite. Maybe you know people who are really, really smart, but they don't make good grades. You may decide that another quality is more important. Regardless, it's your definition, and you can define it however you want to do your study. It also helps others replicate our findings. So let's say we define smart as people who make good grades, and somebody else wants to see if that same definition of smart applies to people in their culture. Maybe our definitions of smart in North America aren't the same as the definitions that they have in Europe or West Africa. Regardless, operational definitions help clarify what we're looking for and help others replicate our findings to see if they apply to different cultures. So in a nutshell, that's an operational definition. Perhaps tomorrow in class, you can work with other students to create your own operational definitions for concepts to make sure that you understand this material. Regardless, a good operational definition helps the study be better overall.